24-year-old former model and professional ballerina named Ashley, this is Ashley, was working for Donald Trump before he became president. She was at Ben Carson's house campaigning when she met Douglas Benefield. This is Douglas. He was a widow. His wife Renee had just died months before he met Ashley. And although Douglas was 28 years older than Ashley, he couldn't help but to fall in love. So in love that they got married 2 weeks after meeting each other without inviting anyone to the wedding, not even Douglas' 15-year-old daughter, Eva. And as I stated, she was a professional ballerina. So they started their own ballerina company on behalf of Ashley's aspirations. The name of their company was the American National Ballet in Charleston, South Carolina. But the ballet company wasn't as successful as they hoped, and they had to shut it down, which also caused marriage problems. And just as quick as they fell in love, as we know, it's just as fast as it all went downhill and they separated. Welcome back to another episode of Jazzyxcrime. This is the case of the ballerina murder. In 2017, they found out they were expecting, and due to challenges with the pregnancy, she moved to Florida to live with her mother. She gave birth March 2018 and didn't tell Doug. He actually didn't see his baby girl until months after she was born. So, with this newlywed couple no longer being compatible, and although the decision to separate was mutual, something that they couldn't decide on was custodial rights for their baby daughter. And ever since she found out she was pregnant with their child, she actively worked to ensure he stayed away from their baby. Doug wanted to be present in his baby's life, but Ashley filed several domestic violence claims in court, and they all were closed and no criminal charges were ever filed. But it seemed like her main focus was just to keep her baby away from the father, Doug. Oddly enough, they ended up getting back together and working out their differences, planning to move to Maryland to have a fresh start. On September 27, 2020, dispatchers in the Manatee County received a 911 call around 6 p.m. from a man who said his neighbor had just run over to his home yelling for help, claiming her husband had just attacked her, so she shot him. Ashley Benefield shot and killed her husband 2 times in the master bedroom of their home.
She's with me now, quite upset. The weapon is here. We need the police before her mother and the little girl gets back from the park. I don't want them to find this.
Yeah.
You want me to go over and look at anything, or just wait for the police?
No, I want you to just wait for the police, okay? So they were in an argument?
I don't know. She came in. She was quite hysterical. I didn't know who was banging on my door. Said that he attacked her, and she shot him. They've been having trouble.
A medical examiner reported one of the rounds entered the outside of his right leg and exited the inside of his right leg. The other round appeared to have skipped the right bicep and entered Doug's chest. And when first responders tried to question her about what had happened, her lawyer had already arrived at the crime scene and also told police she did not want to make a statement. Her lawyer told the police that Ashley Benefield was preparing to move to Maryland with her mother and daughter, and Ashley was staying at their home, and Doug was living in a temporary apartment. Ashley just kept saying her ears were ringing from the shots fired. So altogether, there were 4 shots fired, but Doug was shot twice. 4 .45 caliber casings were found in the master bedroom floor. A loose projectile was also found on the floor, and 2 more were found embedded in the walls of the home. And photographs were taken of Ashley within about an hour of the shooting, and a second time a few days later. And there were no injuries on her besides a scratch on her right side, detectives said. The scratch allegedly appeared to be old, though, and very minor. But the medical examiner also confirmed that after being shot, Doug fell to the ground, and it appears that he may have struck his head on the wall on the way down. He had an abrasion on the back of his head, which matched a small patch of messed up drywall on the bedroom wall. Based on the entry wounds on Douglas, he was not facing Ashley when she began shooting. And it also does not show that Douglas had taken any aggressiveness or defensiveness against his wife Ashley. So, a warrant for Ashley's arrest was filed about 6 weeks after the shooting on November 4th, 2020, and she was charged with secondary murder with a firearm. A judge set Ashley's bond at $100,000, which she paid and was released with the exception of wearing an ankle monitor and having a curfew. The former ballerina lived with her mother and now 5-year-old daughter. Within these last 3 years, she has been able to adjust her curfew when needed and has even traveled to Maryland for a wedding. Also, Ashley's attorney requests to waive the monthly cost, $120, of the ankle monitor maintenance, which was granted by the judge due to financial hardships. In February of this year, 2023, Ashley's attorney wrote the judge a 103-page motion request asking for dismissal since she shot and killed her husband in self-defense. In this motion, she told her side of the story, and this is what it said. Doug was planning to move to Maryland with Ashley and their child, but they planned to live separately. And Doug showed up to their home around 5:30 p.m. and Ashley's mother took their daughter to the splash pad. And while packing up the U-Haul outside in the garage, Doug's mood was consistent to his prior history, which is happy, hyper, animated, and then shifted to agitated and intimidated. And Doug allegedly became angry and screaming. He was saying, "We're moving together as a family. We're making a fresh start, but you're divorcing us." And he said things like, "It's time you start acting like a wife." Later, Doug allegedly drove a moving box directly into Ashley in a upward motion, resulting in considerable pain and scratches to her right side. Ashley tried to leave, but Doug allegedly grabbed her by the left hand, yanked her backwards, and asked her, "Where you think you going?" He's accused of wagging his finger in her face, stating, "You can't leave me." Ashley snapped, yelling at him to just leave. She also said that he raised his right hand with the closed fist and he hit her in the left side of her head. Her worst fears realized that Ashley now believed her life was now in danger. And she ran into the master bedroom and grabbed a gun that she legally owned. And Doug allegedly followed her and barged into the bedroom with a very forceful. And Ashley pointed the gun at Doug and ordered him to leave her alone and leave the home. But she said he postured like a fighter, a martial arts fighter, and ran towards her. And that's when Ashley decided to shoot Doug. And even after she shot him, he kept walking towards her. And she finally saw his legs go up in the air and they slipped from underneath him and he fell backwards. And that's when Ashley ran to a neighbor's home and was yelling for help. Now, two neighbors that was out walking their dogs saw her running outside with the gun, crying and screaming, "Help, help, help." Along with her side of the story, she even had exhibits showing pictures of a black eye and pictures of Doug's physique supporting how strong he was. She also had pictures of the same cuts that the police marked down as minor and old. And she also said that in July of 2018, he admitted to pulling a gun out of its sleeve and shooting the ceiling and throwing the gun against the wall to make Ashley be quiet during an argument. She said that he also hit their dog and punched a hole in the wall and would blame his behavior on Ashley. She also showed a picture of the hole in the wall and had asked for her motion to be dismissed. There was a pre-trial hearing on the motion for dismissal, and it was on July 6th and July 7th at the Manatee County Judicial Center. And of course, she was pleading not guilty to second-degree murder and was hoping that the charges was dropped. Her lawyers argued that Ashley was a battered wife and shot her husband Douglas in self-defense. But deputies found no evidence that Doug was an abusive person. None of his family members, Anybody that said anything about him down to Ashley's family. No one said he was an abusive person. He didn't even raise his voice. To see more Fatal Attraction videos, click right here. To subscribe to this channel so that you never miss another video, then click right here. I love you, and we shall talk again in the next episode of Jazzy Time.